The alien queen stood in the great hall, her armor cracked and battered, a relic from wars long past. The room was vast, filled with towering columns and banners that told stories of victories from generations before. Every noble in the court was there, their eyes wide with curiosity and concern. The armor was more than protection. It was a symbol of her authority, a piece of history no one had been able to restore properly. Cracks ran across the chest plate, dents lined the shoulder guards, and the joints were stiff, making the queen's movements awkward. It had survived countless battles, yet now it seemed fragile and almost useless. For weeks, the best engineers and skilled craftsmen of the kingdom had tried to repair it. They worked with advanced machines, tools powered by energy cores, and materials stronger than steel. Yet every attempt failed. The armor's old design was too intricate for modern systems. Its patterns, made in a style that blended art with function, confused even the most experienced technicians. They could not understand the small adjustments that would make it functional again. Each day, the queen's patience grew thinner. She walked among them silently, observing their struggles. The frustration etched on their faces, and the smoke of burnt circuits rising from failed experiments. The queen was not only a ruler, she was a warrior who had led her armies from the front. She knew the weight of armor and the feel of it in battle. To her, it was not just about protection. It was about feeling like herself, like the queen she had always been, capable and strong. Seeing it broken felt like losing a part of herself. Her advisors whispered among themselves, worried that the queen's anger would soon boil over. They had already faced her displeasure for many small failures, and this seemed far worse. Far away from this royal turmoil, in the bustling docks of a distant trade station, a small human crew arrived. The station was noisy, alive with merchants, pilots, and engineers from dozens of planets. Crates were unloaded, tools were checked, and spare parts were sorted. Among the crew was a human named Alex Carter, a quiet man with grease-stained hands and a thoughtful expression. Unlike the others, he did not rush to check the inventory or plan trade deals. His eyes wandered, taking in the details of the station and the ships docked nearby. He had a curiosity that went beyond work. He was drawn to understanding how things functioned, how every gear and joint fit together. Alex had grown up in a small colony on a dusty planet, where humans had to fix everything themselves. Broken engines, damaged machinery, malfunctioning devices, there was no one else to call. From a young age, he learned to see problems as puzzles, to look for solutions that others might overlook. His father had taught him that patience and careful observation could solve most problems. And he carried that lesson everywhere. Despite his small size and quiet demeanor, he had a skill that was rare. He could take something broken and make it work again, often better than before. Using nothing more than common tools and imagination, the human cruise ship landed at the royal station, carrying not only trade goods, but also knowledge of practical mechanics. Alex wandered among the station, noticing how advanced technology sometimes failed in small, simple ways. He saw engines sputter, automated arms stumble, and devices that required constant calibration. He thought to himself that humans had a gift for improvisation, for seeing solutions that others did not. And then he heard about the queen's armor. At first, he barely paid attention, thinking it was just another story of a court in distress. But when he saw a diagram of the armor, his curiosity sparked. It was old and complex, but he saw the lines and joints differently than the royal engineers. He imagined how each piece could move, how the armor could be lightened without losing strength. Back in the palace, the queen held another council. Her engineers reported their failures once again. Their faces were pale, their hands trembling slightly as they gestured to diagrams and prototypes. "We have tried every method available," said one of the senior engineers, a man named Victor Hall. "Every approach has failed. The original design cannot be restored with our tools." The queen's eyes, sharp and piercing, did not waver. She did not shout, but her voice carried weight that silenced the room. "Then bring me someone who can think differently. Someone who can see what you cannot." No one spoke. It was unheard of for an outsider to be considered, let alone a human. Humans were known across the galaxy for their resilience, their resourcefulness, but rarely for working with alien technologies. The Queen's request puzzled her council, yet no one dared to challenge her. Her command was final. Word of the Queen's demand reached the docks, and it was Alex who stepped forward quietly. He was not bold in the way nobles were, nor did he seek attention. But he had an instinct, a quiet confidence that he could do what others could not. The royal envoy came to the human cruise ship, and soon Alex found himself aboard a sleek transport heading for the capital. He carried nothing special, just a small toolkit, some spares. And his knowledge, the palace was overwhelming to him at first. The halls were high, the floors polished, the banners heavy with history. Nobles and advisors watched silently as he was led to the Queen. She did not speak immediately, letting him take in the sight of her armor. The metal shone dimly under the lights, its imperfections glaring. Alex knelt respectfully before the Queen, as was the custom, and examined the armor carefully. He touched it gently, his hands tracing the cracks, the dents, the joints that no machine had been able to fix. He looked at the chest plate, the arm guards, and the helmet, imagining how each part would move in battle. He murmured to himself, thinking of small adjustments, of pieces that could be reinforced or reshaped. He did not rush, did not argue with the nobles who whispered their doubts. He simply observed, measured, and planned. Hours passed, and Alex began work. He used simple tools, careful techniques, and a method that relied on observation rather than power. He improvised replacements, adjusted fittings, and reinforced weak points. His approach was different from the court engineers, where they saw a problem and tried to force a solution with machines. Alex saw the problem as a puzzle that could be solved with thought and patience. Little by little, the armor began to regain its form and function. The court watched in disbelief. Nobles whispered to one another, questioning why a human would be allowed such proximity to the Queen's sacred armor. Some were skeptical, others feared a trick or a trap. But the Queen remained silent, her eyes on Alex's hands, watching the process. There was a calmness in him, a quiet confidence that made the room still. It was as if the armor responded to his understanding, not his tools. As night fell over the palace, the repair continued. Alex worked tirelessly, adjusting joints, smoothing edges, and reinforcing the structure. He explained his methods only when asked, speaking in simple terms, making the process transparent. Nobles began to see the difference between raw technology and human ingenuity. By the time dawn approached, the armor was whole again, its metal gleaming with a new strength, yet flexible and responsive. The Queen stood before it, moving her arms, testing the fit and balance. She turned, bent, and lifted the helmet, feeling the armor respond naturally. She had not moved like this in years, and a small, almost imperceptible smile crossed her face. For the first time in many weeks, she felt the weight of her authority restored, not just in symbol, but in reality. She turned to the court, her voice calm but firm. "Who has repaired my armor?" A hush fell over the room. No one spoke immediately. Alex, still kneeling, looked up quietly. "It was me," he said softly, not seeking praise, only acknowledging the truth. Shock rippled through the court. A human, someone from a distant colony, had succeeded where the finest engineers of the kingdom had failed. The Queen's gaze lingered on him, and for the first time, she saw not just a human but a craftsman, a problem solver who had brought her armor and her confidence back to life. This was only the beginning. But in that moment, the room recognized something profound. Sometimes, the simplest approach, guided by patience and insight, could surpass the most advanced technology. The Queen's armor, a relic of history, had found its strength once more, not through power, but through human hands and human thought. And in that realization, both the Queen and the court began to see the true value of human ingenuity, a value that no machine, no matter how advanced, could replicate. Alex had never imagined he would stand in the royal hall, repairing a Queen's armor, yet here he was. The court had gone silent after his admission, whispers passing quickly between nobles, some skeptical, some curious, and a few impressed. The Queen's eyes stayed fixed on him, not with suspicion, but with an interest that he could almost feel pressing down like a warm weight. He knew that this was more than just fixing metal in joints. This was about proving that his approach, so simple and patient, could work in a world that valued power and technology above all. The morning light streamed through the high windows of the hall, illuminating the fine dust and scraps that had gathered around the armor as Alex worked. He crouched near the chest plate, examining the cracks with careful attention. Every dent, every worn hinge told a story, and he listened with his hands. He remembered his days on the small colony where he grew up, where every broken engine or battered machine was a puzzle he had to solve. In a place where humans learned to survive with little, you had to be observant, patient, and creative. That same mindset now guided his hands. Victor Hall and the other engineers hovered nearby, shifting nervously from foot to foot. They had been the best in the kingdom, yet they had failed. And now they watched a human with no formal training in royal engineering work with confidence. Some of them tried to step in, suggesting elaborate methods, advanced materials, or complex tools. Alex listened politely, occasionally shaking his head. He needed simplicity, not complexity. He selected small pieces of flexible metal and old-fashioned rivets, his hands steady and deliberate. Every adjustment he made was precise, thought through, and gentle. He did not force the armor to fit. He guided it back to life. Hours passed, and a few curious nobles edged closer to watch. One of them, a woman named Claire Bennett, whispered to another, "Do you really think this human knows what he is doing?" The other shrugged, though both could not hide the fascination in their eyes. The way Alex worked was different. It was almost a conversation with the armor itself. He tapped here, twisted there, listening to the subtle sounds it made as if it were speaking to him. It was not loud or flashy. There was skill in his patience and a rhythm that the court could not help but notice. The queen observed silently, moving occasionally to test the armor's joints. Each movement seemed smoother than before. When she lifted an arm, it responded naturally, bending with grace rather than stiffness. Alex adjusted a small strap, and suddenly the shoulder guard aligned perfectly. It was a small fix, almost insignificant, but it changed everything. The queen's lips curved into a faint smile, her eyes showing a mix of relief and admiration. She had fought countless battles in this armor, yet now it felt as if it had been reborn. Alex paused, wiping sweat from his forehead, and glanced at the queen. She nodded slightly, a silent encouragement to continue. The moment was delicate. One wrong move could ruin the progress. He took a deep breath and focused on the arm joints, reinforcing weak areas with thin metal strips that allowed flexibility without sacrificing strength. He explained his reasoning softly to the curious nobles who listened, avoiding technical jargon and speaking in clear, simple terms. They began to understand, slowly, that the secret was not in the tools or machines, but in the careful observation and understanding of the problem. By midday, he had moved to the backplate, where the largest cracks ran like scars from old battles. Alex studied the patterns carefully, noting how the original smith had intended the armor to distribute force across the body. He carefully bent a reinforcing piece, aligning it with the curve of the back, and attached it with rivets he had reshaped to fit. The sound of metal meeting metal was soft but precise, and he felt a small thrill of satisfaction as he saw the repair hold perfectly. Even the skeptical engineers could not hide their astonishment at one point. A young human engineer from the crew named Lisa Brown stepped forward. She had always worked alongside Alex, learning from his approach, and she offered to assist. Together, they moved through the remaining pieces of the armor, testing and adjusting, ensuring balance and flexibility. Lisa explained her observations as they worked, highlighting how humans often relied on intuition and practical experience rather than rigid calculations. It was a style that alien engineers rarely used, and yet it was effective. The queen watched both of them, and in her eyes, Alex noticed a shift. She was beginning to see value in human ingenuity. In the ability to improvise and adapt, the court continued to murmur, their skepticism slowly giving way to curiosity. One noble, a man named Harold Keyes, leaned forward and whispered, It's incredible how someone with such simple tools can make a difference where our machines failed. Another nodded, though still hesitant, acknowledging the truth, despite their pride. Alex did not seek approval, but he welcomed the recognition, not for himself, but for the human approach he represented. As afternoon turned to evening, Alex reached the helmet. It was the most intricate piece, lined with mechanisms that had not functioned for decades. He carefully inspected the inner supports and hinges, adjusting small pins and smoothing friction points. The helmet slid into place smoothly, fitting the Queen's head as if it had always belonged there. She lifted the visor, testing its movement, and nodded in approval. It was a small gesture, but in it, Alex saw a quiet triumph. The armor, once broken and helpless, now felt alive again. The Queen moved through a series of tests, raising her arms, bending at the waist, and taking a few cautious steps. Each motion felt natural. The armor no longer hindered her. Instead, it supported her, returning some of the strength and confidence she had lost. Alex watched, satisfied, knowing that the work was not just about metal and rivets, but about restoring the essence of a leader. The Queen had relied on this armor for decades, and now it allowed her to stand tall once more as night fell. Torches lit the hall, casting warm light over the repaired armor. Alex stepped back, breathing heavily but proud. He had done what no one else could, not because of advanced technology, but because of patience, observation, and understanding. The court had grown quiet, no longer whispering, as they absorbed what had happened. Even the skeptical engineers could not deny the skill and care that had gone into the work. The Queen approached Alex, her expression unreadable at first, then softening. "You have done more than repair my armor," she said quietly, her voice carrying through the hall. "You have reminded us all of something we had forgotten, that skill. Patience and understanding can surpass power and technology. Tell me, human, how did you learn this?" Alex knelt again, humbly. "On my homeworld, we learn to fix what we have. We cannot always rely on machines or experts. We observe, experiment, and adapt. It is how we survive." The Queen nodded slowly, a sense of respect growing in her eyes. "Then you have not only restored this armor, but you have also restored my faith in what is possible. We will remember this." The nobles shifted, some with pride, some with surprise, and some with lingering doubt. Yet in that moment, the story of a quiet human tinker from a distant colony became known across the court. Alex had proven that even in a world of advanced technology and rigid tradition, human ingenuity could shine, changing the perception of what was possible. The armor, once broken, now stood as a testament to patience, skill, and the quiet strength of a human hand. Later, as Alex packed his small toolkit, the Queen called him aside. "Tomorrow, we will test the armor further," she said. "But tonight, rest. You have earned it." He nodded, grateful, and stepped out into the cool night air of the palace grounds. He looked up at the stars, feeling a sense of accomplishment and wonder. The day had proven something extraordinary, that humans, with their simple tools and clever minds, could achieve greatness, even in worlds far from their own. And for Alex, it was only the beginning of a journey that would challenge not only his skills, but also the beliefs of an entire royal court. And perhaps, one day, the galaxy itself. The morning after the armor was restored, the court buzzed with cautious excitement. Many nobles still whispered doubts, while a few openly admired Alex's skill. The Queen walked through the hall, her movements smooth and confident, a stark contrast to the stiff gestures from days before. She had seen firsthand the human tinker's talent, yet she also knew the court might resist embracing an outsider so quickly. She needed to be certain, and that meant testing both the armor and Alex's abilities further. Alex was summoned to the council chambers, a place where decisions that shaped the kingdom were made. The room was lined with advisors and military commanders, each looking at him with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. The Queen spoke first, her voice calm but commanding. "Many of you have questioned the skill of this human," she said. Gesturing toward Alex, "I want to see the armor improved even further. Its strength is good, but its performance must be exceptional. Alex, You will continue your work openly, so all may learn. Alex bowed respectfully, understanding the gravity of the challenge. He knew that this was more than fixing metal. It was about proving human ingenuity to a world that valued rigid rules and advanced technology above all else. He rolled up his sleeves and began examining the armor again, noting where small improvements could be made. He started with the shoulder joints, adjusting the internal mechanisms so that they moved more fluidly, reducing resistance while maintaining protection. His fingers moved with precision, making small modifications that would go unnoticed to anyone not paying close attention. As he worked, Lisa Brown, the young human engineer, assisted him. She had a quick mind and a steady hand, learning from Alex's approach and applying it with confidence. Together, they tested the flexibility of the armor, its balance, and the way it responded to movement. Alex explained each adjustment simply, demonstrating how even a minor change could make a significant difference. Some of the nobles watched closely, trying to understand, but most simply observed in awe, as the armor seemed to come alive under Alex's hands. One of the more skeptical nobles, a man named Philip Grant, stepped forward. "You are making small adjustments that seem trivial," he said, "but how can they possibly improve something so old and damaged?" Alex looked at him calmly. "Sometimes the smallest changes make the biggest difference," he replied. "Machines and technology are important, but they cannot replace understanding. You must see how each piece works together, how it responds to the person wearing it." The queen watched quietly, her eyes assessing both Alex and the court. She could see that some nobles were beginning to understand, even if reluctantly. The human tinker's approach was different. It was patient, methodical, and intuitive. Unlike the royal engineers, who relied on complex tools and calculations, Alex relied on observation, experience, and a sense of balance that could not be measured by machines alone. Hours passed as Alex continued his work. He tested the armor in various positions, adjusting straps, reinforcing weak spots, and ensuring that the metal plates were perfectly aligned. Lisa carefully documented each change, explaining to the nobles how humans often solved problems through trial, error, and careful observation. The court began to see a new perspective, one that valued adaptability over rigid precision. In the late afternoon, the queen called for a demonstration. She would wear the armor herself and move through a series of exercises to test its functionality. Alex helped her dan the armor, checking each joint and strap carefully. When she took her first steps, the movement felt natural, almost effortless. The armor shifted smoothly with her body, responding to her every motion. The court gasped, some in disbelief, others with genuine admiration. "Notice how it moves with me," the queen said, turning to face the nobles. "Every adjustment, every small change, has made a difference. This is the work of a human, someone from a world far from here, yet capable of understanding what our advanced technology could not." Alex stayed silent, focusing on the queen's movements, watching for any sign of discomfort or weakness. He adjusted a small buckle near her waist, ensuring that the armor remained balanced. Lisa observed quietly, ready to assist with the next stage of testing. The queen raised her arms, bent at the knees, and even jumped lightly. Each motion confirmed the effectiveness of the repairs and improvements. The armor was no longer just functional. It was optimized for battle. The skeptical nobles could no longer deny the truth. Philip Grant stepped back, muttering under his breath, "I never thought I would see the day when a human could outperform our best engineers." Other nobles nodded, some reluctantly, some with a new respect forming. The queen's confidence in Alex was evident, and it inspired others to reconsider their assumptions about humans and their abilities. As the evening approached, the queen asked Alex to explain his methods to the court. He spoke in simple terms, avoiding technical jargon, focusing on observation, patience, and problem-solving. He emphasized the importance of understanding how each part of the armor interacted with the person wearing it. Rather than relying solely on tools or advanced technology, the nobles listened, some skeptically, some intrigued, but all were captivated by the clarity and practicality of his explanations. The queen then made an unexpected decision. "I want Alex to work alongside our engineers, not as a subordinate, but as a teacher and collaborator, she announced. He will show us what humans can do, and we will learn from him. If we are to face future battles, we must embrace both technology and adaptability. Alex was taken aback, but he accepted the role humbly. He understood that this was not just an opportunity to work on armor. It was a chance to change perceptions and demonstrate the value of human ingenuity. Lisa smiled, proud of her friend. And together, they began planning how to integrate human methods with the kingdom's advanced engineering practices. Over the next several days, Alex and Lisa worked openly in the royal workshops. Surrounded by curious nobles and engineers, they showed how small, thoughtful adjustments could solve problems that machines alone could not. They demonstrated how to test materials in practical ways, how to observe failures and learn from them, and how to approach complex tasks with patience and creativity. The court began to see that human ingenuity was not a replacement for technology, but a powerful complement to it. One day a sudden emergency arose. A structural issue in the palace threatened the safety of the royal wing. The engineers were at a loss, relying on simulations and calculations that could not account for the immediate problem. Alex stepped forward calmly, observing the situation firsthand. Using simple tools and hands-on adjustments, he devised a solution that stabilized the structure until a more permanent fix could be made. The court and the engineers were amazed. Once again, human problem-solving had made a difference. Where technology had faltered, the queen watched all of this with growing admiration. She realized that humans, though physically smaller and technologically less advanced in some areas, possessed an adaptability and creativity that was unmatched. Alex had not only repaired her armor, but had shown the court a new way of thinking, a way to combine knowledge, observation, and skill to achieve results that machines alone could not deliver by the end of the week. The queen called for a formal gathering in the Great Hall. The nobles and engineers were present, as were Alex and Lisa. The queen addressed the room, her voice strong and confident. "We have seen what humans can accomplish," she said. "Through patience, observation, and skill, they have shown us new methods, new approaches, and new ways to protect and strengthen our kingdom. Let this be a reminder that knowledge and adaptability are just as important as power and technology." Alex stood quietly, humbled by the recognition, but focused on the work that still lay ahead. Lisa stood beside him, proud and supportive. Together, they had proven that humans could contribute in ways that were both practical and extraordinary. The court had begun to see them not as outsiders, but as valuable allies, capable of reshaping the kingdom's understanding of innovation and skill. As the gathering ended, the queen approached Alex privately. "Your work has exceeded my expectations," she said. "Not only have you restored my armor, but you have also restored faith in what can be achieved through careful thought and human ingenuity. I want you to remain here, to continue teaching and guiding our people. Your methods are a gift to this kingdom." Alex nodded, feeling a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. He realized that his journey had only begun. He was no longer just a tinker from a distant colony. He had become a bridge between worlds, showing that human creativity and adaptability could make a lasting difference. The armor, now perfect and strong, symbolized more than protection. It represented a new understanding, a blending of skill, technology, and ingenuity that could shape the future. That night, Alex stood on the palace balcony, looking out at the stars. He thought about the challenges that lay ahead, the battles, and the innovations yet to come. The queen's trust and the court's respect had been earned through hard work, patience, and understanding. He knew that humans, though often underestimated, had a unique strength, the ability to adapt, to create, and to solve problems in ways that others could not imagine. And with that strength, Alex felt ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that he was part of something far greater than himself. The following morning, the palace awoke to an unexpected alarm. Scouts had reported an approaching fleet of attackers, and the Queen City was under threat. The air was tense, thick with anticipation and fear, as the nobles and commanders scrambled to prepare defenses. Alex, though not trained in military command, felt a familiar resolve. Humans often face danger with little warning, relying on quick thinking and adaptability. This was a moment where his skills could make a difference beyond the workshops. The Queen called her council, her voice steady. "We must defend the city," she said, looking at both her advisors and the human tinker. "Alex, I want you to help prepare our forces. Use your knowledge where it will help the most." Alex nodded and moved quickly through the palace corridors, assessing the damaged weapons, broken shields, and malfunctioning siege equipment. Unlike the advanced engineers, who focused on calculations and theory, he relied on observation and improvisation. He worked alongside Lisa and the human crew, repairing weapons and reinforcing defenses using limited materials. He guided the soldiers in quick repairs, showing them how small adjustments could maximize effectiveness. What might have seemed impossible under the pressure of a formalized system became achievable through practical immediate action. The Queen prepared to wear her newly restored armor into battle. She stepped into the hall, moving with confidence, the armor fitting perfectly. Its joints were flexible, the plates aligned seamlessly, and it offered both protection and mobility. Alex adjusted a strap near the waist, ensuring balance for rapid movement. The Queen's eyes met his, a silent understanding passing between them. She trusted his work completely. As the first wave of attackers approached, the city's defenders moved into position. Archers lined the walls, engineers operated siege mechanisms, and the Queen led her elite guard. Alex and the human crew moved among the defenders, making last-minute adjustments to weapons and shields. He demonstrated how to stabilize a damaged catapult, how to patch gaps in barricades quickly, and how to adapt defenses to the unexpected patterns of the enemy. The attack began with a series of strikes. Aimed at weak points in the city walls, many of the defenders struggled, their equipment failing under the stress. Alex remained calm, quickly assessing the situation and directing soldiers to reinforce critical areas. He showed them how to use simple tools and improvisation to repair damaged defenses, turning what could have been disaster into a manageable threat. His hands moved deftly, tightening joints, reinforcing beams, and ensuring that every soldier could act effectively. The Queen led a charge, moving through the battlefield in her armor, striking with precision and authority. The restored armor responded perfectly to her movements, protecting her while allowing agility and speed. Alex observed from a nearby position, ready to make adjustments as needed. When a part of the wall began to give under the attacker's siege, he quickly reinforced it with support beams and flexible metal braces, stabilizing the structure until additional forces could secure it. Throughout the battle, Alex's approach of observation, improvisation, and practical knowledge proved invaluable. While the alien engineers were skilled, they were less adaptable under pressure, relying on rigid procedures. Alex's methods allowed defenders to respond quickly to unexpected threats, repair broken equipment on the fly, and maintain morale. Soldiers who had been unsure suddenly found confidence. Inspired by the human tinker's calm decisiveness, the Queen, moving with skill and determination, began to notice the subtle differences the human influence made. Shields held longer, siege mechanisms operated more reliably, and small adjustments allowed troops to move more effectively. The battlefield became a test, not just of strength, but of ingenuity. Alex moved from group to group, offering guidance, showing how humans could maximize their resources in real time, and inspiring soldiers with his quiet competence. Lisa Brown worked closely beside him, applying her skills to support the repairs and demonstrating the power of teamwork. Together, they exemplified the human way of solving problems: collaborative, adaptive, and practical. The court and soldiers began to notice, and a newfound respect for humans began to form. Where once they had been seen as outsiders, now they were recognized as vital allies, capable of turning the tide of battle with insight rather than sheer strength. As the sun began to set, the battle reached a critical moment. The attackers had focused on the city gates, trying to breach the main entrance. The Queen moved forward, her armor allowing her to respond with speed and precision. Alex, nearby, spotted a vulnerable point in the gate's support. Using quick thinking and a few simple tools, He reinforced the structure just in time, preventing the attackers from gaining entry. His actions were decisive, yet understated. Demonstrating the quiet effectiveness of human problem-solving, the tide began to turn. The attackers, frustrated by the unexpected resilience and adaptability of the defenders, faltered in their assault. The Queen led a countercharge, moving with grace and authority, her armor performing flawlessly thanks to Alex's meticulous work. Soldiers who had doubted the human approach now witnessed its results in real time. Understanding the importance of observation, quick thinking, and practical ingenuity. By nightfall, the attackers had been repelled. The city stood, battered, but intact. Fires were put out, wounded soldiers attended to, and defenses reinforced to prevent further surprise. The Queen, though tired, moved among her troops, offering words of encouragement. She then approached Alex, who was inspecting a repaired catapult. "You have done more than repair armor and weapons today," she said, her voice filled with genuine respect. "You have shown us that humans bring a strength that cannot be measured by machines alone." Alex nodded, weary but satisfied. "It was not just me," he said quietly. "The soldiers, Lisa, the entire crew, we all worked together. Humans survive by adapting, by thinking on their feet, and by working as a team. That is what made the difference today." The Queen smiled, understanding fully. She realized that human ingenuity was not a threat, but a gift. It complemented the kingdom's advanced technology, offering flexibility and creativity that machines and rigid systems could not. Alex had demonstrated the value of practical intelligence, quick thinking, and collaborative problem-solving in the most intense circumstances imaginable. In the aftermath, the city began repairs, guided by Alex's methods. Barricades were reinforced, weapons restored, and soldiers trained to think adaptively. The nobles and engineers who had once doubted now observed keenly, learning from the humans' practical approach. Alex and Lisa moved through the city, offering guidance and instruction, teaching the defenders how to anticipate problems and react quickly. It was a lesson not just in repairing armor and weapons, but in resilience, adaptability, and creative thinking. The Queen watched from her balcony as the city returned to order. She reflected on the day's events and on Alex's contributions. The armor, once merely a symbol, had proven its worth in battle, protecting her and enhancing her command. But it was the human skill behind the armor that truly impressed her, the ability to adapt, improvise, and solve problems in real time. She understood that this approach could strengthen her kingdom in ways that raw power or advanced technology alone could not. Alex stood quietly on the balcony beside her. Looking out at the city he had helped save, he felt a deep sense of purpose, knowing that humans, often underestimated, had made a real difference. The battle had proven that their ingenuity, patience, and teamwork could rival even the most advanced technology. It was a reminder that sometimes the simplest, most thoughtful approach could achieve extraordinary results. The Queen turned to Alex and said, "You have earned your place here, not as a servant or observer, but as an equal, a teacher, and a guide. Your methods will help us face future challenges with strength and intelligence." Alex bowed, humbled by her words, yet filled with determination. He knew that this was only the beginning. There would be more battles, more challenges, and more opportunities to demonstrate the power of human ingenuity. But he also knew that he was not alone. With Lisa, the crew, and the Queen's support, humans could show that resilience, adaptability, and careful observation could achieve what seemed impossible. That night, the city rested, recovering from the attack. Alex and Lisa worked to ensure that defenses were fully operational, making small improvements and adjustments. The Queen walked among them, observing silently, her confidence in humans growing. The armor she wore was more than protection. It was a testament to human skill, creativity, and determination. And in the quiet moments, as stars glittered above the city, Alex understood that his journey had taken him far from his home world, yet closer to proving the true strength of humanity. The battle had ended, and the city was quiet at last. The air was thick with the smell of smoke and the sounds of repairs. But a sense of relief and accomplishment filled the streets. The Queen moved among her people, observing the work that had been done to restore the walls, weapons, and defenses. She felt a deep sense of pride in her city and in the humans who had played such a pivotal role in saving it. Alex stood beside her, quietly overseeing the repairs and adjustments. While Lisa moved among the soldiers, offering guidance and encouragement, the Queen turned to Alex, her expression serious, but filled with respect. "You have done more than repair armor and teach our soldiers," she said. "You have shown us a way of thinking that we have neglected for too long. Your insight, patience, and adaptability have made a difference not just in battle, but in the way we will approach the future." Alex nodded humbly. "We humans learn to adapt because we must. We face challenges with whatever we have on hand. It is not about strength alone, but about observation, quick thinking, and teamwork." The Queen considered his words, realizing the depth of truth in them. She knew that humans, despite their physical limitations compared to her own species, possessed a unique creativity and resilience that could complement her kingdom's technology. It was a combination she had not fully appreciated until now. Over the next few days, the city slowly returned to normal. Soldiers trained under Alex's guidance, learning not just techniques for battle, but a new mindset, how to think on their feet, how to improvise, and how to work together effectively. Engineers observed Alex and Lisa, asking questions and taking notes on methods that were simple yet effective. The court, once skeptical, began to embrace the idea that humans could offer valuable insights and skills. The Queen watched these changes with satisfaction, knowing that a new chapter had begun for her kingdom. One afternoon, the Queen summoned Alex to the royal hall. She wanted to discuss the future of human involvement in her court. Alex entered respectfully, bowing slightly before her. "You have earned the trust of this court," the Queen said, her voice steady. "I wish for you to stay, not as a servant or outsider, but as an advisor. Your perspective is valuable, and your methods have proven that humans can bring something unique to our world." Alex was humbled by the offer. He had never imagined that a tinker from a small colony would be asked to guide a queen in her court. "I am honored," he said quietly. "I will do my best to help wherever I can." Lisa stood nearby, smiling. She had watched Alex grow from a quiet, thoughtful mechanic into a respected figure within the royal court. She knew that his presence would continue to inspire others, showing that human ingenuity could make a lasting impact in even the most advanced civilizations. The Queen then called for a demonstration of the fully restored armor. She donned it once again, moving through a series of exercises to show the court how well it functioned. The armor was not only strong and protective, but also flexible and responsive, a perfect balance of design and adaptation. The nobles watched with awe, many of them realizing for the first time that the work of humans could surpass their expectations and complement their technology. Alex stood nearby, making minor adjustments and offering guidance. Each movement of the Queen demonstrated the armor's effectiveness, and it became clear to all that the combination of human creativity and practical knowledge had restored something far greater than metal plates and rivets. It had restored confidence, capability, and trust. The Queen addressed the court, her voice carrying authority and conviction. "From this day forward, humans will not be seen as mere outsiders. Their skills, their creativity, and their ability to adapt will be recognized and valued. Alex and his companions have shown us that strength is not only measured by power, but by intelligence, ingenuity, and courage." The court responded with a mixture of surprise, admiration, and newfound respect. Engineers and nobles alike began to consider the ways in which human methods could be integrated with their technology. Soldiers were eager to learn from Alex and Lisa, understanding that the combination of experience, observation, and creativity could make them stronger and more effective. In the days that followed, Alex worked closely with the Queen and her advisors to develop new strategies for the kingdom's defense. He taught soldiers how to maintain their equipment, how to make quick repairs in the field, and how to think critically under pressure. Lisa assisted by creating workshops and training sessions, ensuring that human methods were shared and understood by those willing to learn. Together, they transformed the way the kingdom approached challenges. Blending advanced technology with practical human ingenuity, the Queen took special care to honor Alex's contributions. She ordered that the armor be displayed not just as a symbol of her rule, but as a testament to human skill and determination. It became a source of inspiration for all who saw it, reminding them that even the simplest, most thoughtful approaches could achieve extraordinary results. One evening, as the city settled into a peaceful rhythm, the Queen invited Alex and Lisa to walk with her along the palace gardens. The stars twinkled above. The air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the distant sounds of repairs continuing throughout the city. "You have changed more than the armor," the Queen said softly. "You have changed the way we see the world and the way we see ourselves. Humans are more than allies. They are teachers, partners, and examples of what is possible when creativity meets determination." Alex smiled, humbled and thoughtful. "We humans survive by finding solutions, even in difficult circumstances. It is not about being stronger, but about being adaptable and resourceful. If we can share that with others, we can make a real difference." The Queen nodded, understanding fully. She realized that the lessons Alex and the humans had brought were not just about battle or repair. They were about life, about problem-solving, resilience, and collaboration. She felt a deep sense of hope for the future, knowing that the kingdom could grow stronger not only through technology and power, but through the ingenuity and courage of humans. In the following months, Alex remained in the court, teaching, guiding, and innovating. He worked alongside engineers to improve defenses, create new strategies, and develop tools that combined human creativity with advanced technology. Lisa continued to support him, ensuring that their methods reached all corners of the kingdom. The court, once hesitant, now embraced their ideas, and the soldiers became more confident and capable. The armor, fully restored and improved, became a symbol of unity between species and the blending of different strengths. The Queen wore it with pride, knowing that it represented not just protection but collaboration, ingenuity, and trust. Alex, once a quiet tinker from a distant colony, had become a vital figure in the kingdom, proving that humans could achieve greatness even in worlds far from their own. The story of the armor and its human repairer spread throughout the kingdom, inspiring others to value creativity, observation, and practical knowledge. Alex had shown that even in a world of advanced technology and strict traditions, human ingenuity could shine, offering solutions that others could not see. His journey had transformed not only the armor, but the kingdom itself in the quiet moments. Alex reflected on how far he had come. From a small colony where he learned to fix broken machines with limited tools, to the royal palace where his skills had earned respect and trust. He realized that human adaptability and ingenuity were powerful forces. With determination, patience, and collaboration, humans could face challenges, protect others, and create lasting change. The Queen, observing him quietly, understood that his presence had reshaped the kingdom's future. She knew that the lessons of adaptability, creativity, and practical problem-solving would endure, shaping the next generation of leaders, engineers, and soldiers. Alex's work had proven that strength was not measured only by power, but by intelligence, ingenuity, and the courage to act. And so, as the city thrived and peace returned, the Queen continued to lead with the confidence and skill that her armor provided. And Alex, the human tinker, remained a vital part of her court. Together, they had shown that the combination of human ingenuity and advanced technology could achieve remarkable results, ensuring that the kingdom would face the future with strength, creativity, and hope. The armor, once broken and forgotten, now stood as a symbol not just of protection, but of unity, collaboration, and the extraordinary potential of human hands and minds. Months had passed since the battle, and the kingdom had settled into a new rhythm. The Queen's armor gleamed in the sunlight, a symbol of resilience and unity, but Alex's work was far from over. He had become a trusted advisor, and his presence was felt in every part of the palace. From the workshops to the training grounds, Soldiers and engineers alike sought his guidance, eager to learn the human approach to problem-solving, improvisation, and adaptability. One morning, a messenger arrived with news that a neighboring kingdom was struggling against natural disasters, floods, and storms that had destroyed bridges, roads, and supply lines. The queen saw this as both a challenge and an opportunity. She called Alex to her chambers. "Your skills have helped us protect our city and strengthen our defenses," she said. "Now, I want you to take your knowledge to aid others. Help them rebuild what they have lost and show them that human ingenuity can overcome even the harshest circumstances." Alex agreed, understanding the responsibility that came with this mission. He gathered a small crew of humans and volunteers from the Queen's City, including Lisa, and prepared to travel to the affected regions. Their journey took them across rivers, forests, and mountains, each obstacle requiring careful thought and practical solutions. Bridges had collapsed, making passage difficult, and roads were blocked by debris. But Alex, with his experience from his home colony and his work in the palace, found ways to move forward, using simple tools and clever techniques to clear paths and reinforce structures. The first village they reached was almost unrecognizable. Homes were damaged, walls were crumbled, and fields were flooded. Villagers moved cautiously, unsure of the strangers who had arrived. Alex stepped forward, speaking calmly and clearly. "We are here to help," he said. "We will work together to repair your homes, rebuild your bridges, and restore your community. We will use what you have and add what we can."